Good day, everybody, and welcome to yet another session of Unleash with FTEM, Unleash with From the Expert's Mouth. And today we have a topic and a guest which is very, very unique and something that we really need to speak about. Welcome Rama Shankar Pandey to our show.
Thank you so much, Rajiv.
You're welcome. And before we get into the discussions, just by way of a quick introduction, Rama Shankar Pandey is an alumnus of IIM Bangalore, and he's the managing director of Hella India Lighting, a role which he's been performing for several years. And more importantly, and in the context of today's conversation, he's a champion of road safety in the country and has held various positions, including the chair of the FICCI Road Safety Committee. He's the chair also of the CII Northern Region Road Safety Committee and several other such initiatives, which he will be speaking about. And that's going to be the main focus of our discussion today. But before we get any further, why don't you start, Rama, with an introduction about yourself?
Thanks a lot, Rajiv. So as you already said about the passion, so I always get driven by this, what you like to do. And if you can, skill yourself, and if there is a need, you can create a value. It gives you that, coordinate where, you enjoy and the world gets, something which is world class. So for me, right through my college days, I think the platform which I got in college made me realize that the world around me. So till I was in Madhubani, which is my native place where I belong to, I did my schooling from there. But as I entered NIT Calicut, I think my world changed. Of course, IIM Bangalore and professors making further business model around it definitely helped me. But the initial seed, what I received from NIT Calicut was immense. The biggest thing what I received there was the diversity, because by nature of REC or NIT, you need to have people from all states of India. And India is a continent. So you get to see, in Madhubani, it's a Mithila region, which is, it's famous for paintings and the mythology of Ramayana, where you have the Sita coming from. So Janakpur in Nepal and Madhubani or Mithila in India. So I was mostly in that, location with those worldview. My worldview completely changed after reaching Calicut. This was with a lot of Keralites around and then all the other state people. So this diversity helped me to understand what world can be for me. And when I left Madhubani, I was not that much interested in studies, and my marks in 10th was hardly getting to even a second division, not even getting 50% plus little bit. But coming to college, I think I immediately, the first success pulled me, and that is where I learned that you need some continuous success to your dream, and you actually need a dream. Because in Madhubani, I don't remember I even had a clarity about what's my dream. But reaching in Calicut, when I saw people and when I saw them, they were passionate on few things. I said, oh, I can also lead my life like this, and that inspired. So college, of course, for education, it was extremely important for me. But meeting these people and some professors who inspired, I think that is where the journey took a major turn. And of course, then I joined a company called Bosch, which is again a German company. Very interesting. There I saw first time an apprentice becoming a president of the company. And okay. I said, wow, this is also possible, And the whole philosophy of Robert Bosch, which says, I will rather lose money than the reputation, this was echoing in my mind. And he was just an inventor of, magneto, and then he built a company around it. And the beauty was that most of the profit used to go to a charity, a trust. So Robert Bosch Foundation, that's so much of this. So I did not see any conflict between business and social good. So that was my luck, that I joined a company which had initially itself given me that foundation. And then I moved on to build, this for Hella, something from scratch. Because when you have that, very early in my mind, I got to create value, to create businesses around. Just after my IIM Bangalore, education, I started building Hella, especially from the consumer segment and then from the SOE segment. We call it special original equipment. And while doing that, I found this, bitter truth, which was about India is having every minute a crash. That too understated figure, and every 4 minutes we have one death. Millions of us use road every day, and roughly 415 families does not get back home. So morning they start, but evening they don't come back home. Now imagine the plight of those families, and this
Right.
is avoidable. To me it looked like, wow, so much of technology around and so much of possibility to avoid these crashes. And that is what I did at Hella. I built actually the whole business model around this vision, which we call technology of tomorrow for the life of today on Indian roads. So here I was with a passion to do something in that space, and I had my business which was around that passion. So this
Okay.
is luck. I'll tell you, it's rare to get this kind of combination. But this was my luck that I built a business from scratch, and that's why I got the chance to shape the vision and the whole company culture around it. That is
Right.
what today I am, and the company which was like the humble beginning. In fact, it was a re-entry of Hella in India after a legal dispute of many years. It was just coming out of BIFR, and so from BIFR to a nationally awarded company, we became top 25 great place to work in India. We got CII Most Innovative Company Award, in different years. And till now, there is a huge, appreciation of what we do and what we did in the company. So that's what, about me. Over to you, Rajiv.
Right. Yeah. So that's fascinating. Just for the interest of our viewers here. So when you say that the business side of Hela and the social cause that you are associated with, which is road safety, so how do these two integrate, and what exactly is the business model, or the business unit in Hela that you are leading right now?
Yeah, so whenever you think about a road crash or a road safety, what comes to our mind probably is airbag, because this is what you see on the crash site, or seat belts. But when you study the cycle of a road crash, you have a pre-crash situation and a post-crash situation, and I call it safety circle. So it starts with step 1, 2, 3. It says in Hindi it's called "Dekho, ruko, bacho." So as a driver, what do you do? Fundamentally, you look around, you see the traffic in a motion, and you recognize the traffic. Then you react to the situation. Either you
Right.
speed up, or you put accelerator, or you brake or slow down, is your response to it. And in unavoidable circumstances, when the crash happens, then you have those safety gadgets which supports you, like seat belt, like airbag and all. So in this dekho ruko bacho, what happens? Early you put your intervention, less number of sample size. Otherwise, if you don't have a good recognition on our traffic, then you have millions and billions of these crash opportunities, which then get converted to the real crash. Now, when you look at our highways, you can realize now we don't have a lane discipline. See,
Absolutely.
our country is one of the most difficult to drive. One of the major reason is mixed traffic. You have slow moving, you have cars, you have two-wheeler, you have tractors all on the highways or any normal roads. And then on top of it, you have the discipline is missing, the culture is missing. So we
Right.
have seen from our childhood days, it doesn't matter. Road is our own. We can do whatever we want. It's something like the civil disobedience movement, which started long back against those British law.
Right.
People still feel this is like a British law. This is for life-saving protocols.
Right.
But naturally, we are not doing that. So you see a lot of trucks in all the lanes, and roughly 40% plus crash happens when you have tailgating crashes. That means the cars and the two-wheeler goes inside the truck from rear. So it's a rear end collision.
Right.
Now, you'll also realize now that these trucks will hardly have simple things, which is signaling device, which is essential. The tail light, the stop light, so that you can see that early, you can recognize that traffic early, and you can brake early.
Right.
Unfortunately, because of that missing, you don't have the braking distance, and then you eventually don't avoid those crash situations. And inside that problem lies a technology problem. Most of this technology, Hela in the previous, I'll say peak, was responsible to bring when Tata Mercedes started the truck manufacturing in Jamshedpur. Hela then came to India, becoming the first company to manufacture horns and lights, all the safety devices. Unfortunately, the technology did not change when Hella was into difficult days. For almost 22 decades, Hella was in difficult days, and everybody copied the same design of Hella. So the technology did not change. So when I was doing this whole, strategy for Hella with McKinsey, we found this statistics and we said, oh, we also are there to take a responsibility here, because we did not invest in technology. We were the market leader. Hella went down, and this is the gap when others also did not bring technology. There was a business case for it, but they did not bring. So what should we do now? So we made a strategy of called technology jump. We said, no, India needs to go back. So it was 25 years behind. We said, let's take this 2-decade jump, and not like Pentium 1, 2, 3, 4, and then go to, dual core processor. We said, let's jump directly to the new technology. So then we started investing into design and development, and we brought a product which will never fail, because the problem with these tail lights or stop lights were it could not sustain. The filament was just breaking. Even our homes had the CFL, but those lamps still remained the tungsten filament. Right. So we went completely to LEDs, which gave 3-meter extra braking distance because of the technology. So the lead time between when you brake and when the rear people see it reduced by 10 to the power minus 7. So the model which we say that we will now take the responsibility and make a difference. I know this is like a blue ocean strategy, but we wanted to drive the market. It was extremely difficult because India does not give priority to safety. There was no business case for safety.
Right.
And in 2 years, we brought a product. In 2012, in Auto Expo, our global CEO was here and we launched that product. It was put in an aquarium just to show this is fit and forget with all vibration it can take. So we really put a very interesting product, and it was really top technology. But we were struggling to convince people that please pay for safety, including some of the OEMs. Though we made it in a way that there was a value in it because when you don't maintain or when you don't have to spend money on maintenance, then your total operative cost comes down. So there was a very interesting target pricing done, and that is how we brought the product. But people were not able to understand this way. So I had, again, very difficult time. So then we said, if safety does not have a business case, we came to awareness and education. That is how, I did it based on this, creating that value. It was not for me like, we were not an NGO. We were not those kind of awareness. We were a company. For business, we had to do that. Right. And then we started doing these campaigns and activities. And that is where we wanted the OEMs also to share our vision. And then it happened over a few months. Then, Ashok Leyland, first customer, I still remember Mr. Vinod Dasari was the MD of Ashok Leyland. He shared that vision, and our product became the top 5 USP of that truck. Okay. So now you will see the good news is it's a major achievement for country, for India, that all new trucks will have LED 5 tail lamps now, so that you can see them which lane they are and they are stopped or they are moving. Similarly, you look at bus and coach segment. We did something called modular customization. So one after another, new business model we brought for safety products, for lighting, for visibility. Because in Dekho Roko Bacho, to see and to be seen was most critical. So first we solved the truck problem, then we bus and coach. So now you see all the buses will have very cute projector lamps. And we are the market leader there as well. And we built that, localized it, made it affordable, cost effective. And then we said one of the biggest victims are the two-wheeler guys. So we said, how do we drive it? And now EV trend was coming for electric vehicle. So we built LED-fied lamps for them, which is suitable for electric vehicle platform in a modular customization, so that any OEMs can pick it up. We invest in the tools and technology, and they buy it like a off the shelf and semi-customize it, rather than waiting for 1 year time to market and all that. So with this, there was a pull in the market, and we started getting business success. All the commercial vehicle guys, all the passenger cars, all the passenger buses, and all the two-wheelers, we started getting traction. So all of this business model was around convincing people that people were making advertisements or marketing communication around kitna deti hai, just mileage.
Right.
Was the major buying criteria. We converted that and we drove the industry itself. So that the blue ocean strategy of 2011-12, which we built with McKinsey, became a reality by 2015-16. And then there was no looking back. Then we just went ahead. The company grew leaps and bounds. And that's a good story about social entrepreneurship. You take a cause, which is killing people, and you said I want to solve it, and solve it through the competency of the company. And we had the competency to make the best of the best technology in the safety products. Similarly, with that brand image, we went into aftermarket, consumer business. And we started really, again, very high growth in consumer business, and our aftermarket and the special OE business both grew because of this, good, I will say, social entrepreneurship.
So, speaking of road safety now, what is the state? You mentioned earlier that about, I think, 150,000 people lose their lives every year, and for something which is totally avoidable and preventable. So, what is the state of road safety right now? And you've been part of a lot of these industry associations, in fact, most of them, and you're leading the efforts and initiatives. So, what is the on-the-ground status, and what are some of the biggest challenges? And finally, is there something that the viewers and the audience can actually do at their end to make an impact?
My situation was like this. When I started, of course, I wanted to make a difference through creating the product, bringing the technology, and making the ecosystem aware. But as I went deeper into this, road crash, I was like, and that's where my passion only grew there. There are so many technology which can save this life. It is so easy to save the life if every one of us start working on this topic. And why it is not happening? There are some statistics which are so mind-boggling. You have, the people in defense or in army. How many army person die on our borders in any war? More than that, they die out of road crash inside the country. That is the number, high number we have. It's not, and all of us are Indians dying, and this is a global problem. So we said to analyze it, and then that is what dragged me. It's like, you see in movies that there's some character you get in, and you get in so much that you become that character. So for me, it was limited to my business, but somewhere I saw that there was it needed a lot of corporates to come in. It needed a lot of leadership to come in to solve this problem. And that's where I said, no, this I will not stop until we have at least India free from these road crash, which is avoidable, and those numbers. One of the major factor is roads are made. Now you have many, many roads, and every day the length of our roads are only increasing. We are like top in the world in terms of road length, and you have better roads now. Similarly, the vehicles are also getting safer. Vehicles technology is getting safer, and we are also contributing to that. But joining the road and the vehicle is the road user, is the driver. Unfortunately, this is where we have the biggest, make or break. So that moment of a crash can be fully avoided if this person, behaves in a safer way. And you are here, so you know how difficult it is.
That's right.
It needs a movement. So we have almost like a national security threat in terms of road crash. That this much Indians never died in any war, which every year they are dying. So it's a big threat. Now to really make early results in this, and I think many states have started doing it. Our hard work is paying off now. You will see Tamil Nadu coming down on the road crash. You will see Odisha coming down. Many states are working hard now because what was always missing is the first thing first approach. Roads to change and design of the road will take years to come. Right. Cars are getting safer. Now you have NCAP announcement done, and I'm very sure that we are at the world standard now. But road user, and our licensing system. In past, for example, if you ask me, I can tell you on camera that my license came without me going for a driving test. This is how it happened in past, or many of us. In fact, I wanted to surrender this. In fact, I surrendered that I wanted to motivate people also to surrender, because they know they were not, they never went for testing or giving a test. So that is how you have the driver situation. And the culture is so bad that you have two set of people on the road. One set of people, they feel in every situation they will still save themselves. So for every inch they are fighting on the road. And, they are like overconfident, you can tell, though they have never tested, or there is no objective test of their driving skill. But most of us are those who have given up to chance, because we feel even if I drive okay, the majority is not driving.
Yeah.
So why should I become pappu, so that
Right.
safety culture is taking the back seat. It's not cool to be, driving safe or defensive driving on road. In fact, you will not reach your office if you have a, that attitude. That's the problem. So it's a deep rooted problem. People think that this is a accident is seen as a superstition. It's more like a chance factor. You have God in the car. People know the risk of crash,
Right.
but then they don't practice the science of it. So you will
Right.
have those Nibu Mirchi hanging on the vehicles. If
Right.
if a black cat, agar kali billi chali jaye na, black cat goes, then you will stop.
Right.
All of this happens why? Because everybody knows the risk of crash, but everybody is violating because they think जिस दिन जाना होगा उस दिन जाएंगे. It's like a destiny.
Right.
They feel it's a chance factor or bad luck. Now, this is a major task, Rajiv, how to convince people it is a science. It's a complex science, but it's a science. You can save people just by adopting that science. So, what we are doing in all the industry association, we are working very hard on driver behavior. How, till now, what happens is we have regulations, we have rules, but enforcement is nothing. So,
Right.
when you have zero enforcement and you have very strict rules, then you multiply this two, the result is nothing. So we are trying to change the narrative from heavy on regulation with no enforcement towards assist and alert the drivers. We cannot criticize the drivers. Ultimately, they are on the road
Right.
and they are the one who can change the make and break situation. So let's trust the same drivers, whoever they are, whether they are trained, not trained, and assist and alert them. For that, you have many technology now, like advanced driver assistance system, speed alert systems. So all of this, like now you see, if you are not putting the seat belt, there will be a buzzer in
Right.
the cars. Simple things like this can make a difference rather than always come with challan. Because the moment you come with challan, 80,000 traffic, guys, they cannot control 1 billion Indians, 1 billion plus on the road.
Right.
Because we are fighting with 80,000 is nothing compared to how many, vehicles we have. So in road safety, my summary or my take is the only way to get out of this is to create a national movement to build that culture so that it becomes cool to drive defensive, drive safe, and you know how difficult it is. But my request is to all the corporates, charity begins at home. As corporates, we have our own ecosystem. We have our suppliers, our employees, our customers. And if we can inspire this through soft enforcement or a self enforcement and give them tools, give these drivers the tools, small trainings, and also alert and assist, I think we can make a difference. Even if 10% we change initially, this will have a good trickle effect. and
Right.
and for all the industry association, it is important that they use what's there in hand. This was always my philosophy. Rather than criticizing government, rather than criticizing the drivers, I think what's in our hand, in our ecosystem, if we start doing this awareness and monitoring, I'm very sure there will be time when our roads will change. In some city it is there. Go to Chandigarh, you will see Chandigarh behaves differently, which
Right.
means culture can change. Culture
Right.
can change the situation on the road. And last topic here is for the governments to come together is an emergency care. When the crash happens, unfortunately, during the golden hour, during the platinum hour, the emergency care does not reach. This I don't think individually we can solve. There it needs a resolve from the leadership, from the government side, that all their departments come together. And the ambulances, if your grocery can reach in 10 minutes,
Yeah.
why not ambulance, which is so much needed?
Right.
Sometimes you don't need grocery in 10 minutes, but let
Yeah.
ambulance reach. And I also appeal to startups, why don't you work in this area? Why don't you let emergency care reach in, if not 10, 20 minutes, the platinum hour? Many people will be safe. Tamil Nadu has done exactly that. They have worked with technology. All departments immediately gets the notice when the crash happens, and they rush the patient. You might have heard in many newspaper the green corridor they make,
Yeah.
and with that people are saved. So Tamil Nadu has already reduced by more than 40-45% because of this, making emergency care available in platinum hour. Why not country have this?
Right.
That will be my question and
Yeah.
motivating others.
No, absolutely. And yeah, thanks for that startup idea. I think a lot of people are struggling with startup ideas. And at least, I'm involved with the startup ecosystem. And what I see there is mostly people end up copying, what others are doing. And that is not going to lead to success because, so much of capital and so much of efforts have already been spent in trying to solve one problem. So instead of just trying to repeatedly solve the same problem, look at some other problem in society, which is, of course, there is no problem which can be bigger than the problem of saving people's lives.
Yeah,
And it's such a valuable and noble problem to solve. So might as well solve this. And I think, if you think creatively enough, then while solving this problem, which is related to road safety, you can solve so many other problems which are related to emergency healthcare, of people not being able to reach hospitals in time. The same thing, which you mentioned about the golden hour or the platinum hour, applies to heart attacks or other many such causes,
exactly.
because of
Yes,
which so many people lose their lives, which could have easily been avoided had better infrastructure been in place. We've done a session earlier with one of our guests who's working on a hyper local app. So that essentially is predicated on the same model, that when you need help, it is essentially people in your hyper local network which come to your assistance. So
exactly.
things of that sort, I think, have a tremendous scope, and not too many people are really doing that. So think creatively, and think of the problem first and try and solve it from first principles. I think that's exactly what you guys have done over the years. And it's not an easy journey. It's not a solve it overnight or a get rich quick kind of fix it scheme. It does take years. And from what I heard from you, it's been what, about 10, 12 years since you've been in this role, and
Yeah.
maybe 5 years, roughly speaking, to turn things around. Would that be accurate?
Yeah, around 5 years. So if you look at 2011, we started this we call lead strategy. Till 2015, nobody given us that seriousness that we will be able to do that. When we
Right.
pulled through, I think 2015, then it was just no looking back. But I remember those 5 years, people were not believing in the idea. Oh, you will drive the market. Nobody cares. The fitness is a corrupt people in RTO. They anyway give vehicle fitness. Why do they need your product? It is for fitness. Then today everybody is getting fitness without that. So there were so
Right.
many arguments against it, and we continued with that belief that we are doing something which will have a value for the society, for the customer, for everyone, because ultimately people who are dying are our own customers, they're road users.
Right.
Invariably I have to look at my final customer, not only
Yeah.
customer in between. So from the OEMs to fleet owners or to whoever is buying the vehicle to the actually road users on the road, they are our final customers, and if we are true to them, somewhere that value will be communicated. That was the hope, and it happened after 2015.
Right. Yeah. So, once you're convinced about what your purpose is, and, the reality of the problem, I think one just needs to stick it out. And this is so very important, particularly, in today's times. And since you spoke about, the startup ecosystem, since we are seeing this so-called, funding winter, or, slowdown in funds coming their way, I think it is even more important for people to realize that, look at, what is the ultimate problem you're trying to solve. Who is the ultimate beneficiary? Don't look at the intermediate customer, who might just be a funnel or a channel to the end customer or the end beneficiary. Uh, and I think that will give much, much more clarity of thought in terms of what your business model should be, and how you should organize your operations, and whether you are developing a product or whether you're creating software, who should you keep in mind while doing all of that. I think it becomes extremely important. And last but not the least, innovation is a very abused word, and a lot of people associate it only with technology. But here is a good example of business model innovation itself, right?
No, your business model should be in a way that it should melt your investor, it should melt your employees, all your teams into one melting pot. And
Right.
then the value you create is world class. It looks small. Small people only do big jobs. Who does all those extraordinary things when it comes out? It happens because you are very keen, like you said, the final customer. You create a value, a compelling value. I call it mafia offer. Without telling even people should take it. That
Right.
kind of offer. If you have that, and you're clear on that, I think you'll become a melting pot for all the different stakeholders to come in, because managing stakeholder is a biggest headache for any leader. Any CEOs will have the major, I'll say, heart attack coming from that area, that one stakeholder versus another stakeholder. But when you have this purpose built to really granularity of that business model, and you know what you're creating, every one of them will come in that melting pot, and then your job becomes easier, your burning becomes lesser.
Right. No, absolutely. So, speaking about the end customer in our case, which is the people who are watching this episode, I think there are two takeaways. One of which you've already indicated, charity begins at home. So, since you mentioned that the biggest issue really is the behavioral change, uh, on your behalf and on behalf of from the expert's mouth, I would just like to say that, an appeal to everybody. They all know, what is road safety, what is the right behavior on roads, and what is inappropriate behavior. Just because everybody else is doing does not make, that activity legitimate. It is certainly not, and it can and does cost lives. So, please spare a moment for, that. Let this, thought sink in, and keep this thought with you every time you are on the roads the next time. Because, if two people are behaving inappropriately on the roads, the probability probably increases exponentially. It doesn't increase in a linear fashion, right? I'm sure, there would have been studies done on this. But, that is one takeaway. The second takeaway is something I want to discuss in greater detail with you. Thank you, Rama, so much for sharing your thoughts with our platform and with our audience. I'm sure there will be lots of takeaways for each and everybody who's listening. But let's not lose sight of the, of the bigger picture, of the central pillar of our discussion, which is road safety. So next time when you're out there on the roads, be safe and follow the appropriate behaviors. You all know what those are. Apart from watching this video on YouTube, we will also be converting the discussion into a post which you can read on our website. And if beyond that you want more, then I'm sure Rama has a lot of resources around road safety and about skilling. So we can connect you to him, and you can get access to those resources.